Hey y'all, this is Jayda Johnson. I'm an artist, a painter, and a sculptor, and this is Conversations with Love. Tune into the next episode.
What it do? Y'all see it. This is episode number 2. Best believe it. And we got Jayda Johnson here.
JJ.
Yeah, JJLL.
Amen.
It just goes together. It's perfect.
Amen.
But no, basically, I just want to have her come in and let her tell her story about her art, everything she has going on right now. So I'm going to let you just give a little intro, who you are, where you from, and we'll go from there.
All right. Well, I'm Jayda Johnson. I'm from Boston, Massachusetts. I'm a New England baby. I came down here to first Louisville, Kentucky, in high school.
Gotcha.
My family, they started expanding, so we wanted to, be able to have a better place to settle down and everything.
Gotcha.
So,
Question for you: how was Boston?
Boston was something else.
Compared to Louisville, how was Boston? Like, what's the differences? If you could talk about that.
The difference is the sheer amount of family.
Okay.
The entirety of my family's up in Boston, so that's both sides. So
Gotcha.
everywhere I go, and any sort of corner I stop on, I'm gonna see my family there.
You going to Boston?
Yeah.
Okay.
Here, I say people are a lot more open and a lot more kind. Compared to up in New England. So it did let me get a chance to get out my box and be able to, feel as if I could express myself a little bit more freely.
Okay, and real quick, disclaimer, we are actually shooting this video in Lexington, but she's living in Louisville, right? Wait, what did I say? Did I mess that up? You live here. I messed that up. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm thinking Louisville. I've been in Louisville too long. So
I moved around a lot, so
okay.
That's reasonable.
Well, y'all, look, we're going to cut that out the script, okay? But no, so with, as far as being in Boston, tell me about your childhood, like, high school, middle school, what did you do when you were, especially with the art tip, like, did you start doing art when you was in middle school, high school, that kind of thing?
Yeah, well, as I was saying, I've moved around quite a bit, so my time in Boston was actually relatively short. I lived there up until I was about 5, and we would go back and forth, but most of my childhood I actually grew up in a very small town in Lewiston, Maine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
so it was they called it the Dirty Lou.
Dirty Lou.
The Dirty Lou, it was the only one that we had,
Okay.
So,
Gotcha.
There was a very small black population there. It was about 2%. So my experience, growing up was I was, the black kid, compared to a lot of my, counterparts who were.
And that's in school, right?
Absolutely,
Gotcha.
absolutely.
Okay.
So my experience was very much a little bit altered in the sense of compared to when I came down here to Kentucky.
Gotcha.
It was definitely the move was definitely a eye-opening in the sense of I was now kind of categorized in the sense of instead of just being one of the other black kids, I became the light skin. I became anything else other than just another black person.
Student.
Black student within the community. Yeah,
Gotcha.
Absolutely. So being able to kind of differentiate those sort of things was something that was hard for me to kind of overcome because I felt like I was being blocked out from the community in a way.
Okay.
But at the same time, it was something I had to reckon with.
Gotcha. You just got to deal with it. Yeah,
Absolutely.
I see what you're saying.
Absolutely.
And even to that point, like for me, I grew up. I'm from Lexington, and when I was in high school, Lexington is a pretty diverse city, but I remember growing up I used to get the quote of, "You act like a white boy," right? Because the high school I went to, Takes Creek High School, they would it was mixed, but my friends that I just naturally was drawn to, I guess, were the white crowd, just because I grew up in the suburbs, and those were just the people that I was around. But again, I'm still black, so that's how I looked at it. I'm like, don't get it twisted. This is just where I live, and this is almost like what's the word for it? It's your surroundings kind of make you kind of who you are.
Absolutely.
And at that time, that's what I had to deal with. And then I moved to Louisville, got to see a whole different kind of different vibe, a lot more black people up there, different culture. So I've learned that even looking back now that I'm 24, I'm like, wow, I said, this is why I was in this. This is why I was hanging out with most of the white kids, because that's all I knew. That's all I saw, really. I had 2 of my best friends. They were all 3 of us, or maybe 3 or 4 of us were, we were the only kind of black guys that were hanging around all the white people. which was a great experience because it just taught me now just how to learn that whenever you move to that point of you moving around a lot, You might move to Seattle, you might move to LA, you might move to wherever, and it's going to be a different vibe wherever you go.
Yeah, one thing that I've, especially throughout all the moving, is location can definitely change perception and perspective, you know?
Yep.
So how you look at yourself can change, you know, based on who is all around you, but also how they look at you can change. Because they have a completely different set of background, they have a completely different kind of perception.
Yeah.
So it's everything is based in perception.
Yeah, even from language, how people talk, certain slang.
Absolutely.
Because I was gonna tell you this, but when I first met you when we were at the pool, I heard that Boston, that accent came out, and I wasn't gonna say nothing, but I said, okay, I can hear it. So you was there, so
I
you know.
heard it with a little bit of Kentucky.
But you kind of mix it in there a little bit.
Bit.
But it's funny because I'm from I'm not from there, but my parents are from Memphis, and sometimes I have, if you know, like Moneybagg Yo, he'll always be like, I'm from Memphis.
Yeah.
You know? So in that version, you know. But, like I kind of have sometimes I have my little moments where I'm like I wasn't born there, but it's in my DNA literally.
Absolutely.
So I have my little Memphis, like what's going
on? Absolutely.
But anyway, so we're gonna go transition into the next thing. So let's go into the art. So sculpting. So again, going back to like you're like growing up, what at what time did you like realize, oh, this is what I like to do? This is what inspires me.
Yeah, it's always been something that I was always just super interested in. Like I did dance a lot when I was younger, and they had me doing acrobatics and stuff.
Oh,
and I was like,
flipping
hey,
and tossing and
turning. They had me do a handstand, and I was like, hey, big girls don't go like that. Okay, I'm gonna have to tap out on that one.
This ain't for me.
Yeah, it's just not for me. You know. So I really wanted to start focusing more in on like my painting and my sculpting. It was painting first that really kind of took off for me. It was just a lot easier to be able to kind of mix together any sort of images that I want to be able to create any sort of story.
Gotcha.
You know, I liked the idea of storytelling. And then it was slowly but surely that I got into actual sculpture. When I was in high school, I went to a school called Ballard in Louisville.
I know about that.
Yeah, I got into a Governor's School of the Arts, GSA.
Oh, I know GSA.
Yeah. And I was one of their creative arts people, and so
talk to them.
Yeah. You know, I got that little scholarship. But it was very eye-opening to be able to play with all sorts of different mediums. Like we got to do printmaking, we got to do sculpture, both like in ceramics and in just like finding different materials.
Gotcha.
And then, you know, definitely got to play in, you know, our painting and everything like that. But during that experience, I really fell in love with actual ceramics. And so I really, going into college, I really wanted to have a large variety of knowledge in different mediums so that I could excel in everything and just build up me and build up my visuals and just make whatever I wanted to make.
Gotcha.
You know, it's more so about the actual messaging than it is the medium.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. And so with that, I have a question. So I always like to compare kind of music. I'm a big music head.
Absolutely.
Everybody knows that, DJ Love, all that. But when in my writing process, for example, sometimes I'm trying to figure out what's the concept, what am I trying to achieve on this song?
Yeah.
So, but you're doing, like I'm building it from scratch, like it's just literally thoughts that come to my head. So how is it that you are able to take a sculpture and be like, I'm out to take some mud, some clay or whatever, and put this together, and this is what I want to do. So what gives you inspiration, life experiences, things you just see out, something like that?
Yeah, so I take a lot of inspiration from a lot of different places. So in school right now, I'm a African American Studies minor, and same thing with art history. So I like to take my own history, African American history, whether not only just African American, but throughout the diaspora, and
big word.
Yeah, amen. Gotta use them button words.
I seen it. You had to sprinkle that in. Yeah.
And then also like art history too. So I like to pull from all these different modes of culture,
right?
And be able to see where does all of that intertwine, and in whether it's just certain topics of things that I've lived through, things that other people have lived through, and things within history, things that we've presented a certain way that might not actually be what it seems. And so just through a combination of all of those things, I will create an idea, the concept, and then the actual choice of the medium comes like way after that. Like I base everything within the concept and then rely on the skills that I've learned. That you've learned. You know, to be able to put everything into action.
So this might be hard for you to explain because we don't have like all the utensils and everything. But how do you do that? Like, how do you do you start off with, do you get clay and then you just kind of build it? Do you get like a stencil that you kind of set up and it's like, okay, you gotta get a 3D print? So I know you talked about printing earlier and like doing that. So like, how do you do that? Does that make sense?
Well, for my sculptures, I have to give a shout out to Bobby Scroggins. He's my mentor at UK.
Y'all heard
he has really taken me under his wing and really taught me this process called the hollow core method, direct hollow core method. So through that process, you build an armature, and that can be like a full-blown welded metal armature, or even just some strong pencil wire that you can be able to just kind of mold into any shape you need to. And then after that, you put tissue paper over top of the rigid form, and the next part, which is putting fishing line around that, is really the key element you need to be able to make sure the piece survives.
And that keeps everything together, I'm assuming.
It actually will take everything apart.
Oh, the fishing will?
Yes. So once you put all that on there, you start hunking that clay on. You just throw it on there. You throw it on. You get it, just as fast as you can. It's a very, very quick process. It max, it should take you about 3 days to be able to complete this.
Gotcha.
But if you're a little slow like me, maybe about a week.
It might take a little longer. It's okay. It's okay. But we all got to start somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm still working on it. But yeah, you just kind of throw it all on there, get it about 80% done, and once it's dry on the outside, they call it about pumpkin hardness. Has a little bit of bounce to it, but it's still stiff.
I know what you dang, now I'm thinking about touching a pumpkin. I'm like, it's a little, not too squishy, but it's a little hard.
Absolutely. And then you take that fishing line, and then you pull it up, and it's going to cut it from the inside out. So the outside's hard, the inside's very soft. So then you can take out all that excess clay and then put everything back together. So it's like kind of making a mold without the mold.
Gotcha.
So that when it's actually put into the kiln to be fired, it doesn't explode, there's not excess moisture, it's very thin, it's very lightweight, and it's a lot more durable because you're building a scaffolding pretty much on the inside of it.
Got you.
It's a very, very interesting process, but like knowing all that kind of technical ability was something that was very big for me to learn. And like in addition, like with my paintings, that process, normally starts with.
That's what I was going to ask you about next. The paintings. Let's get into that.
So that normally starts off with Photoshop. So I
use that too.
just start off with the basics and all that. I gotta just like gather together a bunch of like images. Whether it's my own childhood images, which I've really been focusing in for my thesis exhibition. Getting my story out there.
Right.
And maybe pulling images from history, pulling images from art history too. Whether it's just composition to allude to a certain messaging, allude to a certain allegory. And combining all of those to be able to get in essence what I want to get down, without actually having to worry about how all of these are merging together because the actual process of painting and the actual process of getting the image down is really what's going to create the artwork. But I think the most important part and the first part that needs to be done is to get down the concept and placement.
Yeah, and that's